All right, I just started learning microStudio not too long ago, and these are some of the gotchas I ran into. First, the 2D arrays. MicroScript does not support 2D arrays, just like Lua and Python and JavaScript. So I don't know what the deal is with those languages and not truly supporting it. There is a way to simulate that. I'll show you how I did it. But let me just go through some of the other things. That caused me a little bit of a problem when I started with microscript. Function names. So I have a test function here. It's right here. This bit of code right here. And function names are case sensitive. So if we do this, it's no longer the same function. We get an error message right here that test func with a capital T is not a function. So you got to remember, and this threw me off not just from creating my own functions, but with the draw sprite, because draw sprite with a lowercase s is also not proper. So you got to remember case sensitive. So there we go. Brackets, you got to remember to, if you have a function without any, you're not passing any values, you got to still include it. So this is not the same as this. So if you forget your brackets, uh, it's not going to display anything. It just goes on without executing the function. It doesn't tell you that you've made an error or it's just the way microscript works. Relax the error checking, so it will not tell you that there's an error. So you got to remember, if your function doesn't take any value, you still got to put the brackets. Here's one, the assignment and comparison. So just like C, double equal sign if you're comparing, single equal sign if you're assigning. Now the problem here is that, again, you're not going to get any error messages. So if you do this, when you're reading through your code, this looks perfectly normal. And in some cases, the logic kind of works out. So I have count here equals 5. So when I do this bit of code here, it should print count is 5. And let's take a look, and count is 5. But let's say I change the value to 4. This should display now count is 4. So let's clear it, reload. It's still saying count is 5. And that's because, again, I'm not using the proper comparison. It's double equal sign. So double equal sign, and let's clear this and reload. And now we get the right logic. Count is 4 because it is 4. And if I change it to 5, let's clear and reload. Count is 5. So you got to remember that when you're comparing, it's double equal sign. When you're signing, it's single equal sign. The other thing, if you're coming from a C background, in C, you don't need the then statement, but in microscript, you do. So it'll tell you that. So that's good. You get a warning there. And the thing that got me was the else if. So it's else if without an E. So we can do this, and it looks like the code is right because the syntax highlighting shows the correct colors. But this will not work. You'll get an error message, and that's because else if is a single word without the E. Also, in some languages, you could do a short if statement without doing a full block. So that means you don't have to specify the end of your block. So something like this in C would work, or even Pascal would work. It doesn't work in microscript. So this won't work. You got to put the full block, including the end statement. And so the print command is I use it for debugging. It displays things in the console. One thing you should be aware of that you can't print additional values. So in other languages, if you do a comma, uh, let's do next item. So if we reload this and print, we got array equals, which is the first part, but we don't get the second part, and we don't get any error messages. So be careful with that. Let's see. And sprite names and color names, you got to put them in quotes. So uh, if I remove the quotes from the name, it won't work. So you got to put your sprite names in quotes. They got to match up with your sprite names in here. So this one is called face one, and you got to put face one in quotes. Also with the screen dot clear, you got to put your colors in quotes. So we can change this to red, green, and any other valid colors. If you remove the quotes, it looks like it's working sometimes, especially if you type black, because that's the result you get, but not really, because that you still get black when it fails. So it doesn't look any different except for the error message. So remember to put in quotes. If you don't specify anything, it defaults to black. But let's put blue back because that looks better. And so that's all the little gotchas. Let's go over the how to simulate 2D arrays. So I have two ways of doing it. One is creating a base class and making another class, making a list of the base class. And we could simulate the initializing the rows and columns with a set and a get function. And let's see how this works. If we take a look at here, let me just put some space here. So I created an array, called it array1, and then new array2D, which is our 2D class. And I said I'm going to have 10 rows and 10 columns, and the initial value will be 0. This could be any number. You could put 11, or you could put a string value. You could put whatever you want. And so that'll initialize it to whatever value. Let's put 0 for the moment. And I'm going to print the contents of that array right here. So I'm going to print, let's print what's in the first row and first column. And so the value is 0 right here. If you look at highlighted right here, let's change that value to 11 and see if that updates properly. So let's clear. And here we go, 11. Let's put something else. Let's put a string. Let's put Nick. Let's clear. Let's reload. And there we go. We're getting the right result. And once you initialize it, you could change the value. So let's put this back to 0. And let's say I want to set the second column and the second row value to 75. And then we're going to print that value. And let's see if we get the right value. And we get 75. So that's working fine. But there's another way to simulate 2D arrays. And so let's take a look at this code here. It's a lot smaller, so this is the whole class. So it's another class, but we're using a list, but we're using double brackets in the list. So I don't know why this actually works. I didn't read too much into it to see how lists work, but it seems this logic does the same thing as my class here, but in much less code. So it works exactly the same way, same set and same get function. And so let's try that so you can see that actually works. So it's array2, and this one's called n array2d because I had to give them different names. You can't give them the same name. But I'm just going to comment this part out so it doesn't display those values. And let's uncomment this. All right, so we're using array 2 now, and it's using the new array class. So let's assign a default value of, let's say, 11. And let's clear and reload. And so we're getting 11. We're getting the right value. Let's change one of the values. Let's go second column, change that to 99 and get that value, and clear again, and let's see if we get 11 this time. Sorry, it should be 99, and that's right. And we're getting 99. Let's change this to 11 just to make sure that, yep. So it works the same way. I'll put this code on GitHub, and so that's all I got. And I'm not putting down microscript. It's a good little programming language, and I think I could do a lot. But I think if you kind of go into this knowing these little gotchas, it might help you with your coding. Let me know if this has helped or anything. I could do a few more of these as I come across other little gotchas and little problems that I kind of solve on my own. But if you're interested, I'll post them. So that's it for this video, and thanks for watching.